This is Abe Friedtanzer from Awards Buzz, and I'm excited to be speaking with Joanna Arnow, Scott Cohen, and Babak Tafti about the feeling that the time for doing something has passed. How are you all doing today?
Good. How are you?
Good, good. Joanna, can you tell me about the genesis of this project and where it all started?
Yeah, well, I have always been interested in writing concise humor, and so I wanted to push further with that with this one. And so I wrote a lot of very short scenes that drew on personal experience. And um, I, sorry, there's a someone singing really loud musicals.
No way.
Well,
No way.
distracting, but very on topic for this film. But yeah, so I wanted to push further
Uh,
with with the humor and yeah, I guess um explore the comedy of everyday experience, the surprise of your neighbors belting out musicals when you're speaking, things like that.
And for the other two actors, what attracted you to these roles?
Um, what attracted me to this role was it was a character I hadn't gotten a chance to play on like TV or film yet. It was something that I've been wanting to for a very long time. Someone who's so completely vulnerable and genuine in their feelings and his expression of it. Yeah, and then also with like a comedic bent as well. Like it seemed like a nice little human character study, but with a nice kind of romantic comedy vibe as well in there. Just a slight touch of that. Yeah.
I just love Joanna's previous work, and I really wanted to be a part of what she did next, and found Alan to be both a challenging character, and in a world that I'm really not familiar with, in relationships that I'm not really familiar with, and I feel very lucky now that I got to be a part of something that I wasn't familiar with and learned quite a lot about.
And there are very specific relationship dynamics among all your characters. How important was it to establish your own personal relationships just as actors before delving into that?
What do you mean?
What kind of dynamics did you build on set to have, during rehearsal and just in terms of your own interpersonal relationships that then could translate into how your characters are supposed to interact with each other?
Well, we had a rehearsal process with I rehearsed with Scott and Babak 2 days each, and yeah, I think that's really helpful just to have a chance to talk about the script and the character, and before getting into the scenes, especially considering that there was intimacy scenes for both of these roles.
Yeah, comfort. That was the biggest thing. Is like we got comfort through the rehearsals, through being with each other, through just Joanna's specificity and understanding. And then her comfort with us as far as what we were bringing with it as well. It's just like you didn't feel like you were doing anything weird or uncomfortable. It just felt like you could give your full self over, and I think that really helped with all these like moments that are either awkward or intimate. Yeah.
I felt like it was important to kind of delve into the whys a bit of how relationships like this exist, and what satisfaction or what completion or what need or what desire or what lust comes with it that's important to kind of focus on. Um, and that was discussed quite a lot in rehearsals and on set as well. So I think that created kind of also a trust and a comfort zone that allowed us to kind of be free and explore.
We've heard a lot recently about the use of intimacy coordinators on sets. Is that something that you used in this case?
We didn't have an intimacy coordinator on this film, but took a great deal of care to prioritize the safety and comfort of all the actors, including myself, and had all the standard intimacy scene protocols, such as closed sets, and reminded everyone that they could change their minds at any time, and talked about blocking in advance and comfort levels and checked in. So all of that.
With that, was there any improvisation or was it all sort of sticking to the script?
Improvisation, you mean more broadly in the film?
Yes.
Um, there wasn't improvisation really in the scenes, but you know, part of, I mean, other than, you know, if an actor changes a word or brings something to it, you know, I'm always like excited about surprises. But for the most part, the scenes were um, as written in the script. There was a lot of spaces in the scenes that I felt like left room for just, you know, time to engage with what's actually happening around us and for, you know, small happy surprises like, you know, the sneeze and the blowjob
I was
scene.
literally just thinking about
Yeah,
that.
yeah, that. And just like, you know, having space to react to things like that if they came up, or, you know, there was a fly above Scott's chicken, you know, things like that, waving it away. But also maybe Scott and Babak, you want to speak to I know, Babak, you were talking about improv before the scene started earlier.
Yeah, because a lot of the scenes kind of start in the middle of a scene a lot of times, and I think Joanna kind of came up with a great way of kind of getting the natural flow of them by kind of improving into them. That kind of allowed us to kind of really land into them in like and it's a natural kind of flow, as opposed to kind of feeling kind of a bit stilted in that way.
I also think that there's a big difference between trying something different and improvisation. And trying something different is within the context of a safe environment that an actor can explore and kind of try something new. Improvisation is not necessarily could hurt somebody oftentimes, and that's you know, and I think Joanna kind of created an environment where trying something new was completely accepted, and if it wasn't something that somebody was comfortable with, then that was talked about and that was, you know, it was figured out. But improvisation is a little different to me because it creates somewhat of a, you don't really know what's going to happen, and that becomes odd for especially on a set like this, that intimacy and safety are of the utmost importance.
I like the film's division chapters. Did you shoot sequentially with those or just assemble afterwards?
Um, we unfortunately didn't shoot sequentially because we had so many locations that we had to really go by location, you know, not add any additional company moves.
Well, on the note of locations, I know I saw this film at the New York Film Festival and I had missed it at a festival before, missed it at another festival later. You've been to so many different places with this film. Have you found that there are different reactions based on the location and the type of audience that's seeing it?
Um, you know, it's a little hard to tell. I feel like different audiences have a slightly different uh flavor. I really enjoyed, there was one man at an audience in San Francisco at SF Indie Fest, and he really connected to Alicia Reiner's character in the movie, and said that his brother had moved in with him when his brother had marital problems, and like broke his favorite coffee cup and like all this stuff, and like really was like connecting, and kind of explained the similarities in the situation. So I appreciated that, you know, a strong connection to a character.
That's funny.
I also feel like it is very much a film festival type of film that, you know, if you go to a festival just to see a bunch of stuff, it's the kind of film that sort of feels right. And I'm curious if you think how you think it will do with the general audience of people, if it's going to attract a specific crowd or if people just won't know what to expect.
You know, to me, this movie is a comedy first and foremost. So just I hope people continue to think it's funny and tell their friends and come to see it.
Well, I do think that the title is very fitting, but it's also obviously very long. Was this something you always wanted to have, and have you found it to be an impediment at all in just even in marketing the film?
I guess I'll just also say about your last question, you know, I feel like there's a lot of ways that BDSM and its portrayal is not represented accurately in film. And I hope that this film portrays a more accurate or authentic representation of what it means to be submissive. And for that reason, I wanted to include scenes where Anne is part of the planning of the sessions and show the communication around it, de-glamorize, desensationalize it in some ways, and show it through a comic lens, with a long take, long shot style of just, showing the ways that people are interacting. I feel like with some distance, the vulnerability and sense of exploration, I think, becomes funny. Yeah. And sorry, your next question, can you say that again?
The
About the
title.
title being both accurate, long, and likely difficult to market.
Um, the title, to me, this is a film about following the experience of time as it passes in someone's life, and the subjective experience of its ebbs and flows. So I wanted the film's title to represent that, and it that longness of the title in some ways reflects the angstiness of it and gives it a certain humor, I think, just because it's like such a mouthful. Like you got, if it's that over the top, it's got to kind of have a little bit of wink to it. Um, I mean, in terms of marketing it, I mean, you'd have to talk to folks at Magnolia who have been quite lovely, but I personally see the length of the film title as an asset because I think it stands out.
Hmm.
I
But I
also
don't know, I
think you make
haven't
a
tried to fit it on the theater awning or whatever yet.
That's true, that's true.
Marquee, not awning.
Well, I do think you make a very good point about it, offering an insightful and positive, view of consensual, BDSM relationships. And I'm also intrigued about how, when I go back to look, I see that from the marketing, Babak and Scott, they're using your past TV roles to advertise for this. And I think any Gilmore Girls fans who tune into this film just to see you might be a little surprised. I think Billions is probably a little bit closer in some ways to this, to some
Max
elements
Max
of it.
Max Medina had some secrets, and
Oh,
I can't tell you what they were now, but no, I I I had no idea. I didn't even know that. I have not seen any advertisements, but yeah, I mean, whatever sells the movie sells the movie. But I think the title is so fantastic because I think that it took me about a year to memorize the title, and because I kept on, well, what are you doing? Oh, I'm working on this movie. Hold on, let me look it up. And it was, I mean, really, it was just very difficult. But now it just like comes out of my, and because I think that, and I think it just makes, because somebody actually just asked a little while ago, like, the idea of are you feeding the audience something that they might want to know, or underestimating the audience or something to that effect. And to me, it's challenging. It's like, it's challenging to have a title so long that means something, or maybe it doesn't mean something. And you have to walk away thinking, what does that mean? And you feel like, to me, it's like you get awashed with this movie. And if you spend time with it, you spend time with a title like that, then I think it's worth every penny of it. That's what I think is so special about it. So yeah, that's what I think. But yeah, Gilmore Girls, I don't know. That's funny.
I'm excited to hear you say that this film is not so dissimilar from Billions because I love Billions. And I haven't heard that there's similarities with this film
That's
before.
good.
Well, I think there are some, there is a prominent BDSM relationship in that show, but also,
Yeah,
right.
yeah, the whole
but
That's
beginning.
right.
Yeah,
It's also
yeah.
a little edgier in my memory than Gilmore Girls. Maybe I'm not remembering accurately, but I think there's, some of
I
that
mean,
there.
like you said, Max Medina had some stories. You know what I mean? There was some edge. There was some edge. This is kind of on the down low kind of vibe. That's right.
What did he do when he went to California in
I
that?
mean, the big question. I agree. That's right.
Big question.
Well, I'll just close by saying that as somebody who covers awards a lot, having a very long title is something you remember a lot throughout award season when you're typing it over and over, like three billboards outside Ebbing, Missouri. So the fact that this is something people really have to pay attention
Yeah,
to
there
when
you
they're
go.
writing is probably, I think, an asset more than a drawback. So thank you very much, all three of you. It's really nice to speak with you today.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Ed.
Same, Abe. Thank you so much.